serving those around you, and remembering the mission of the organization that you represent. And really getting into, in my opinion, is the path ahead. I've known hundreds of people who got into entry-level jobs, and when asked, what is it you want to do, they didn't say, I want to be damn good at what I'm doing here today. They said, oh, I'm going to be president. I'm going to be a good leader. And that those are, I guess that's okay. But if you don't understand that performing well in the domain that you currently occupy is important, I kind of think you're going to miss the thing that will most connect you to a pathway of success. So, examples just that I can think of. I was a biologist. And you know what? Being in grad school was awesome. I got to do my work. No one really told me what else to do. I studied, I wrote papers, I wrote grants. I was in love with my profession. It truly inspired me. It was just, someone was actually paying me as a TA to study things I was passionate about and loved to satisfy my curiosity. I got along with my lab mates. I got an incredible postdoc at an Ivy League medical school. 4 postdoc offers that were all terrific. And it was like, wow, I get to do this some more. Then I finally get a job as an assistant professor. I will say it was a little weird because back in those days, there were hardly any jobs in my discipline as a biologist. For every job, there would be 200, 250 applicants. So somehow you had to distinguish yourself from that group. And I thought, okay, no one's getting a job. None of the people, even at Penn Med, were getting jobs. So I'll just stick out a resume and hope it works. And kind of get some experience along the way. And don't be afraid to try and fail, by the way. That's a great thing. But I did it, and then I got the job, which was pretty weird. So you apply for one job and you get it. And I didn't have a plan B, and I hadn't thought it through very carefully. And I had a 6-month-old baby. And I went, I'm taking the job. And there were people who said, well, this is stupid. Would you rather be at the University of Pennsylvania as a research faculty member, or would you rather go to the University of Texas at Arlington, someplace in the primitive South, and work down there in a school no one's ever heard of? And I went, taking the job, the hard money job. And I didn't take it as second place. I didn't take it as I've really screwed up, now I'm trapped. I took it because I thought it was the right thing for me, the right thing for my family, and the right thing for that university. And I got down there and I had an incredible experience. I got to grow professionally. I got to write grants. I got to teach the classes I loved. I got to share what I knew with people who needed that. What an incredible job. It was like, I felt like I was the luckiest person in the world. And that joy sustained me through a lot. You know, think about that time of your life, and some of you are there already. You're raising a family, trying to pay the mortgage, trying to build your career. And you go through ranks, assistant professor, associate professor, full professor. That period might be one of the most personally satisfying times of my life. I wasn't thinking, I'm going to be a university president. It's the furthest thing from my life. What I was thinking was, I love this, I love the job I do, the students that I work with are incredible, and they give me, truly, they give me joie de vivre, a joy every day in what I do. And that may sound corny, but it seems to have worked. So I never thought, I'm moving on. But I remember bringing in a young faculty member as a chair, And the first thing the person told me, I said, so what is it you plan to do? And they didn't say, be a damn good assistant professor and get promoted, do research. They went, I'm going to be president. And I went, uh-oh. I thought, if your eye is so focused on that, how are you going to do here? Do you understand what that means, what it means to perform well and to work with the people that you're with? Because if you act like you guys aren't important, see, I'm going to be special and do this, I think you're going to find you're challenged in your workplace. And now, I'm not saying ambition's a bad thing. That everybody should have ambitions. But when you get that first job, cherish it. Embrace it fully. Immerse yourself in it. And learn every single thing that you can. And perform to the best of your ability, because you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to work with your colleagues. And if they see you working hard, and you have a good spirit, and you're a team player, you're going to meet people who aren't. You're going to meet people who are backstabbing, conniving, poor at their work and covering up for it. Okay? How many of you have met those folks? I'd be surprised if y'all hadn't met them. But you don't have to be that person. And sometimes that person wins in the short run, but they don't win anymore. And if they win, it's at what expense to the people around them, and even to their own family. So what I've seen and what I look for, because I've achieved way more than I thought I would. But when I bring people in to serve this university, I want people who love it, who are going to be great on the team, who when I walk into work, I'm going to go, it is so much fun working with this individual. I enjoy it. I know they're going to do their job. I know we're part of a team. They're going to tell me what they think. We're going to disagree. We're going to have difficult challenges and decisions, but they're people that I really want to make those tough decisions with. They're people that I want to make. So I would encourage all of you to be that person. Put aside the arrogance. I'm just going to say we had a blue ribbon panel, and now it's going to get a little personal. They just left yesterday to talk to us about how to completely reformat and build a new and very creative online enterprise solution. How to get to where we needed to go. There was one guy, kind of quiet, a little self-effacing, but I knew in a heartbeat that I would like working with that person. Very knowledgeable, incredibly dedicated, knew the field from A to Z, had just poured their heart out into building success at the university that they were in. And I just thought, what a recommender. This person viewed their job as serving those around them, solving problems for them, helping to build new, powerful systems for the university they were in, which has done just remarkable things. There was another person on the panel who was putting together a startup enterprise, who was incredibly arrogant, really dismissive, and actually didn't know that much. How do you suppose that went with the folks when they were all talking together? The answer is not real well. I think they might have suspected it, but basically I'm calling the blue ribbon panel to interview them. And so one person just did their job, loved it, and that passion lit me up. Another person was going to tell us all how it was in their world and model their successes and be dismissive of the genuine questions a lot of people have. Which way do you want to be? And so when you talk about how you get ahead, I'm kind of the person who believes in enlightened self-interest. by really trying to do good in your organization, good for the people around you, it will come back to you 100-fold. You can call it karma, you can call it enlightened self-interest, you can call it really good common sense. But don't think that the managers or the people in the chain above don't see it. Because they have to ask themselves every day, who do I want to work with? Now, there might be some people who are real jerks who have incredible numbers of performance. That's going to happen. There's a place for those people. Sometimes you have to protect them from themselves, or you have to protect others from them. And organizations can use people who know how to get yield, whatever that yield might be. But they're not generally the folks who are going to move up the chain as the leaders of the company. So you get to watch it, you'll get to see it, but I can't say enough to you that really owning what you're doing now, and you can start today. Own your classwork. I didn't figure that out until I was pretty much a senior, so I didn't do real well. It wasn't early for quite a while, and then it was totally amazing, and then it was, wow, if I study, I get good grades. That revelation didn't come till my junior year, and finally it was, and if I study with my girlfriend, I get better grades. Because I was trying to impress her. She was serious. And then finally it was, this is kind of interesting. I find myself stimulated mentally. Wow, I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to read the extra chapter. Now this isn't because someone's making me do it. Now it's because I'm really interested in, I want to do it, and I want to learn, I want to be good at what I'm doing. So at some point you own your own success. And I don't know, I mean, honestly, I just wasn't there early in my career. It took 3 years before I kind of got to that place. I wasn't mature enough. Or whatever was missing until an aha moment. But I've watched that aha moment in thousands and thousands of students. And when the light bulbs go off, it changed forever. And I don't know if you've had it yet, but I hope you find it. And then you carry that forward, because the aha doesn't stop. Your college degree is not a meal ticket. It's a chance to get a foot in the door, and then do all those other things. Where your people skills take over, your desire and passion to be good for you, and to enjoy the opportunity that you've been given takes over. So that's kind of how I feel. That's my pep talk. Be very dedicated to that opportunity and be thankful for the people who gave it to you. And it might not work. I know my daughter went through a horrible experience with a boss who was probably insane, running his own small business. You can get away with that if you're running a business. So insane people, take note. It's hard to get away from it in a larger corporate structure. You get out of it pretty fast. No one wants to work with you. And insanity isn't generally a positive check on your career resume. So if you get into a situation like that, I probably recommend you cut your losses and move on. Because that insanity of the other individual can smother your joy and your satisfaction and turn a workplace into a horrible place. So seek that workplace where you really can enjoy it and the experience is enjoyable. And the rest of it, I think, will come naturally. What are you doing? You're helping to perform the mission of the company that you're in. You're serving the people around you. And hopefully, you're serving your customers, the clientele. Not a bad place to be. Now, I don't want to get too preachy, so I'm going to stop. And I can't remember if I ever told you guys the story that actually got me into graduate school? And have you ever heard the pickle story? Yes? No?
No.
Okay, I'm not going to amuse you. So when I graduated from college, I had a girlfriend I thought I'd love forever who broke up with me shortly thereafter. My house burned down, which was intriguing. And I decided I probably had to kind of get a job, and, go back and square things away. I tried to move home, and my parents were like, "You're not living here." And so I think I worked 23 jobs or so in a year, just drifting, doing stuff. Nothing real sensible. Might not have been 23, but it was big. I was a professional tree climber. I worked in a model railroad shop. I was a bartender twice. I worked construction, 2 different gigs. For a while, I was working in an apple processing plant. That was a great one. The list goes on. Okay. None of those were too satisfying. Basically, I was going through the motions, and I didn't have any heart to it. And I had no clue what I was going to do. I was debating whether I should go to art school or continue in biology. I decided artists didn't make any money, even though I liked it. Maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong. And I got a job in a pickle. This is true. It was the 3rd biggest pickle factory in the United States. It got bought by Tree Brand Pickles, Buffalo, New York. And I was a quality control manager. Wore a white hat, and I tested pickle juice all day to make sure that the brine was just right. And the funny thing was, the pickle was really good back in those days. It was great. And it was kind of an okay job, a little boring, grinding up pickles and juice and seeing if they had enough salt and acid and sugar. Yeah, that's what I did. And sadly, one day, a guy called me, was my good friend at this place. Again, I like people I work with. And said, "I have cancer." I think it's bad chemicals from the factory. Back then, the dealers like OSHA and stuff. He goes, "I'm at the local cancer institute, and I'm going to die. And they don't have anyone to make the pickle juice. They don't have a brine master." And they said, "Who's going to run? We shut down. No one shows up." He said, "Well, you're the only person smart enough to do it." This is before internet or anything. We used phones, and I wrote down all the stuff I had to do. And the next day I went in and I ran all the brine for all the pickles successfully with no hitch. And they came up to me and went, "This is great. We want you to train the next brine master," who, by the way, got a lot of them, "and then go back to your old job." And I went, "Oh, no, I'm the brine master." Which they had no choice but to accept. So I ran this. Now, the only drawback to the job was I had to be at 3 a.m. That wasn't sweet, because I had to be the first one to set everything up. And the vats of pickle juice were like big, like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 of them could have been put in this room. The height of the room, you fill them up, you drive around. I'd have a little forklift, and I'd load pallets of salt, vinegar, spices, and I had all kinds of interesting adventures. Synthetic mustard oil, let it get in your eye, little tip. But if I got going really early, I could kind of sandbag a little bit. And I'm not bragging about that. I'm just saying if you were real organized, you could get way ahead of the job. And then the day was super easy. So I'd set up tank, water, vinegar, salt. But if you could let it get away from you, and if that happened, then you caused a giant pickle brine flood, which didn't smell good, you didn't taste it, no one could see. It's just kind of embarrassing. So one day I did that, and as I was there, it was probably 4 in the morning, maybe 5 in the morning. Only maybe 1 or 2 mechanics were there, and me. and I heard this Smatresk are flooding the brine room. And sure enough, I come running in as fast as I can. There's a giant pool of pickle brine on the floor, which is a saltwater electrically conducted solution, I know. And you might see where I'm going with this. And out of one of these giant tanks, it was like Niagara Falls, cascading down across the top of the tank onto the giant pumps and the switchgear that control the pumps. These pumps are like this, you know, they run on 220 high amperage, which is lethal. And the water's coming down, and all I could think of was turn off the pump that was pumping the water into the tank. So I ran through the pool of brine, hit the button, which is called a kill switch. And now I know why. And fortunately, it was the kind with the red button and the black button. You've probably seen these in industrial settings, you know. And as I hit it, all hell broke loose. First, I successfully turned it off. Then, a giant nimbus of ball lightning surrounded my hand and arm. It's like St. Elmo's fire. It was really like lightning on my hand. And fortunately, because I pushed a button rather than grabbed a switch, it knocked my arm back. I started to contract the muscles in my arm. Physiologist here. Electrical stimulation causes muscles to contract. As my hand got kicked back, everything went into slow motion. Kind of like the Matrix. And I watched my finger, which was on fire. And it was pretty weird. I was like, I blew my finger out, and I felt the shock travel down my arm, across my chest, to my heart. And here's the funny thing. How many of you can feel your heartbeat right now, or are you even thinking about it, or are aware of it? The answer should be no. But when your heart stops, you feel it. Because it's different. And I can explain the physiology of that too, but I won't. It's a great lesson for anatomy and physiology classes later in life. And my profound thought wasn't no white lights, no tunnels, nothing like that. It was, oh, blank, Smatresk, you've killed yourself. And then I went, oh wait, you're still thinking, you're still alive. What should you do? Now this probably took, you know, that long, but you can imagine the thought process. Do I give myself CPR? Or should I run screaming for help? Probably can't do CPR. I'm gonna run. I turned and I took my first couple steps, started to open my mouth. Gonna live. I'm quitting this job. I'm gonna go back to grad school. I don't think I'm supposed to die in a pickle factory. And actually, so I went in and I had a very nice talk with the manager, and I went, I've got something I need to do. I gotta go back to school. And he went, that's cool. It's all right. You know, I gave him 2 weeks notice. I got another person trained up, and I went to press. And that changed my life because I needed a sign. I needed something to tell me I was just frittering my life away. And that did it. Now, not everyone has a sign that's quite that crystal clear. But for me, it worked wonders. And I've never looked back. So I don't know what the moment is for each of you. It might come slow, it might come fast. You might look back and say, yeah, that was the moment that you didn't realize